Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I'm going to start out this podcast with a topic that has been covered by a number of other people already, but I have also had probably half a dozen or more people ask me for my take on it. And that is the current situation slash scandal, I don't know what to call it exactly, with LMNT, the powdered electrolyte drink mix. Now, before I get going, just a little bit of background. I am not an affiliate marketing partner with LMNT. I have not tried their product. And I'm not even sure if I've had any contact with them. I think the only contact I may have had with them was a couple of years ago. They may have reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be an affiliate marketing partner, and I told them no. And that has nothing to do with the company or their product or any interaction that I've had with them. It's simply I feel that the keto content creator universe is really kind of saturated with people promoting that particular product. Additionally, I think just based on the way that I have seen other channels promote LMNT, I think it's one of those where they pay money for a person to kind of insert their own little spin, their own little commercial within a video. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an affiliate marketing partner. So really, I have no horse in this race. That said, at least a year ago, I had received an email or a message from one of my viewers. I think it might have been a reply to one of my electrolyte videos, whether it was just on electrolytes or whether it's how to make your own electrolytes, or maybe it was my review of the salty electrolytes. But this particular individual told me that his wife had an allergic reaction to something, and it was bad enough that he had to take her to the emergency room. And as he was trying to figure out what is it that she could have possibly eaten that caused this allergic reaction, he figured the only question mark was the element that she had drank. So he contacted LMNT and said, hey, I don't see any sort of maltodextrin or anything on here, because apparently his wife has an allergy to maltodextrin. That's what they figured out. Is there any in here? And at the time, someone, a representative at LMNT, said, yes, there's a very, very small amount, like 4 milligrams of maltodextrin that they label as natural flavors. Since then, I've probably had one or two other people leave comments or message me telling me that they or a relative have had an allergic reaction to the maltodextrin and LMNT. Now, within the last week or two, a story broke that it's not 4 milligrams of maltodextrin that is in LMNT. It could be as much as 550 milligrams, or over half a gram. So how do I feel about this? From purely the maltodextrin standpoint, I don't know that it bothers me all that much. A half a gram of maltodextrin? However, if I were allergic to maltodextrin, or if I had a family member that was allergic to maltodextrin who might consume this product, I would be livid. I would be extremely upset. Now, from what I have read and what I understand from the USDA's guidelines on labeling and ingredients, if a product contains a known allergen, which I'm pretty sure maltodextrin is, you must list it in the ingredients by its common name. So if it's maltodextrin, you call it maltodextrin. Let's shift gears for a second and think if it were another allergen, like peanuts. Because I think a lot of people, or a fair amount of people, have peanut allergies, probably enough so that any one of us knows someone who has a peanut allergy. You must label it as peanuts in the ingredient list. You can't label peanuts as natural flavors. You can't label it something that it isn't. You can't give it a weird name that people won't know that it's peanuts, because you need to protect the health of your customers. So why is it that maltodextrin, which is an allergen, can be labeled natural ingredients? I don't know. I don't know if there's some sort of a loophole, if there's a certain gram or milligram threshold, but that's where things start to sort of rub me the wrong way. There's definitely the aroma of deception going on here, and I think furthermore, if you look at some of the historical back and forths in Twitter, some of the messages, not Twitter anymore, it's X, but some of the comments and replies to people, I guess, have been deleted, but there are articles where people have captured this. In fact, I will include one down in the description below if you'd like to read it. But what bothers me the most about all of this is I feel, and this is a feeling, this is not an accusation, this is an opinion, I feel that there's an integrity issue here. I mean, if you are at fault for something and you fess up to it right away and you apologize and you say you're going to make it right, I tend to cut those sort of folks or companies a lot of slack. But that is not what seems to have gone on here. It seems like sort of a sequence of denials and mild admissions. I've also seen some other content creators come to the defense of LMNT, saying, a half gram of maltodextrin, no big deal. And like I said, to me, a half gram of maltodextrin is not a big deal, but I don't have an allergy to it. So that's my initial take. I think we're going to kind of see over the coming days and weeks how LMNT handles this from a public relations and customer relations standpoint, and also how other content creators respond, especially those who are affiliate marketing partners of LMNT. So I think this is going to be an ongoing story. Stay tuned. Now I'm going to segue to another ingredients topic, and this is actually on heavy whipping cream. I ran out of heavy whipping cream, and in fact, Sam's Club ran out of heavy whipping cream. So I asked my wife Terry to pick me up some heavy whipping cream. She was going to the grocery store, and she got me this Prairie Farms heavy whipping cream. Now, I'm going to put the ingredients up on the screen here while I try and read them without my reading glasses. You've got cream. So far, so good. Stabilizers. Lots of times, heavy whipping cream will have some sort of stabilizer in it to keep it from separating. However, let's take a look at the ingredients on the stabilizers on this. Dextrose, carrageenan, cellulose gum, monoglycerides, hydrogenated soybean oil. Wow. Polysorbate 80 and citric acid. So there are a couple in here. I don't get real worked up on carrageenan. Some people do. Carrageenan can cause inflammation, but it's actually, I believe it's denatured carrageenan that causes inflammation and can't be used in food. But forget about that. We've got two other pretty big problems here, which is the dextrose and especially, in my opinion, hydrogenated soybean oil. Now, I can't blame my wife. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman, and she was feeling like she was doing the right thing, getting me some heavy whipping cream. But once again, it comes back to what I say very often. Don't ever trust the front of a package. Always look at the back. Always look at the back. Look at the ingredients. In this case, had I been shopping, had I picked this up, I hope, sometimes I even forget, but I hope I would have looked at the ingredients and said, ooh, nah, we'll just wait until Sam's Club gets some more in stock. Anyhow, that's my little cautionary tale on ingredients. Last week I had done a review of Toski knives on this channel, and I got a couple of comments that weren't especially pleasant about me doing reviews of non-keto stuff. And I want to explain why I do that from time to time. I don't do it just to get free knives. And I hope that everyone felt that that review was very fair and very honest. Those are some expensive knives that have a very, very niche sort of target audience. But the reason I do occasional non-keto reviews of what I think are things that do potentially fit in with a keto lifestyle or a cooking lifestyle, things like I did the Click and Grow herb garden, kitchen herb garden. I've done some air fryer products like the Dreo. The reason I do these is because these are videos that YouTube may promote and non-keto people may see, and then they come and they watch this channel. And then maybe they discover a little bit more about keto, and maybe they decide they want to go keto. So for me, I'm not doing it to get a free appliance. I do not need any more appliances. I don't need any more knives. I don't need any more air fryers. I'm pretty set. But I do them anyway because I feel that A, it's a public service to those of you who may want something like that or may be curious about something like that, but also, like I said, to draw in potentially more people to this channel and potentially more people into the keto lifestyle. So that is why I do that. Now, one of the things that I had talked about in the previous podcasts is periodically injecting a little bit more non-keto content into the podcast. And the reason for this is kind of just to keep things interesting for me and also to make sure that I can put together a decent podcast or a decently sized podcast every week. So with this week being Halloween, I just want to give you a very brief review of a few Halloween movies or a few horror movies that Terry and I have been watching so far this month. One of the things that I did is I bought the Universal Monsters Blu-ray set. It's like 50 monster movies. It's the classics from the 1930s and 1940s. And so far we've watched Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and The Mummy. I think those are kind of the big four. Dracula. Wow. If you didn't know anything about Dracula or vampires, I don't think you would know what's going on in this movie. You never see fangs. You never see anybody get bit. In fact, at the end, spoiler alert, you don't even see Van Helsing drive the stake through, this is not coming out of my mouth very well. You do not see the stake go into Dracula's heart. You don't see him pound it, nothing. It's, like I said, everything is really kind of implied in this movie. I don't give it a huge thumbs up. Frankenstein, however, is a very good movie. And in fact, I think if all you know about Frankenstein is from watching Saturday morning cartoons, and how Frankenstein is displayed in those, he's not this lumbering, sort of guy. He's actually fairly spry, fairly fast-moving, and a pretty sympathetic character in all of this. I give Frankenstein a thumbs up. The Wolfman, wow, was this boring. This was not a good movie at all. I have nothing further to say about The Wolfman other than don't watch The Wolfman. Finally, The Mummy was a pretty big shift, I think, in terms of the quality of the Universal horror movies. Earlier ones, it felt like I was watching someone who filmed a play. All of the actors, it really felt like they were more like reciting lines rather than acting and kind of over-projecting them. I was in drama back in high school and in theater, and they said always project to the back row. And I feel like that's what a lot of these actors were doing on screen. Nothing is particularly subtle in these early Universal horror movies. But the acting, I felt, was a lot better in The Mummy. Additionally, in the first three movies, it seemed like all of the all of the shots were static shots. So the camera was fixed. The Mummy was the first one, I'm pretty sure that there was any sort of camera movement, any sort of panning, zooming, etc. So it was a big step up. I would not call The Mummy a horror movie, though. It was really more of a, I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a love story, but it's closer to a love story than it is a horror movie. So if you are looking to watch any sort of classic monster movie before Halloween, my advice would be Frankenstein and The Mummy. But I believe that's going to be it. Let me just take a look at my list. Oh, back to the knife thing, just for a second. Toski did reach out to me after my review video and say that they appreciated everything I had to say, that they appreciated my feedback, they took my criticism to heart, and then asked if I would like to partner with them to design a knife. And I'm probably going to say no to that, because I think any knife that I would want to design is likely going to be a higher quality knife than what they sell, and I would want to sell it for less than what they charge for their current knives. So that's probably not something I'm going to do. I think if I'm going to partner with any company to create a kitchen product or a keto product, I want it to be something that is going to be enjoyed by a lot more people than a very small niche group. And one final thing that just popped into my brain before I end this podcast, we got our half a cow. Actually, we got a little bit less than half a cow because Connor took some and Courtney took some, but I would say we still probably took home about 300 pounds of cow. But the freezer is full. I've got a lot of unique cuts of meat that I have never worked with before, so I'm very excited about that. The moment I filled up that freezer, I thought, gosh, I'm going to have to shift to definitely more ketovore. There's a lot of meat I need to take care of. So stay tuned for future meat-related cooking videos. They're definitely coming. But that is going to be it for this particular podcast. Once again, I want to thank all of you. Whether it's your first podcast, hopefully it's not your last podcast, maybe it's your 196th podcast, but whatever the case is, I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me As always, thanks for watching.